Scotty and I have managed to get a lot of DIYs in this place done in the last few months, and this month specifically. Today we're going to be doing one of the DIYs we've wanted to do since the day we moved in. And behind me is our kitchen. My dad's coming over, of course, because there's no reno done without Rob Weldon.
Hey, morning everybody.
And we are going to be doing a backsplash. So if you're interested in seeing how to do that for a beginner, we're also using subway tile. Just keep watching. This kitchen, things that we really like. Scotty put that under cabinet lighting. I will link down below where you can find that lighting tape. We love how much counter space there actually is, and it gives us the ability to work here. But again, when you don't have a backsplash, you're cooking pasta or something like that, and then it just splatters on the wall, and then you're just awkwardly wiping the wall. And it just feels wrong. You know what's kind of like weird to think about is I've always loved HGTV. Like, put your hand up if you also love all of those home reno challenges or videos. And I had always thought like that would be such a fun television program to work on. But then I was thinking, if my motto is make your own momentum, then to make my own momentum, I'm gonna create a playlist here on this channel called Amanda's HGTV series. And it's just gonna be all of these renos that me and my dad are doing. I'm gonna show you a couple of things that you're gonna need for today's project.
There will be a few more things that you're going to need on day 2. Of course, you're going to need your tile. Here are a few grout options, really cool that you can bring them home. And then of course, once you make that purchase of your grout. An X-Acto knife, tape, and garbage bags all help you with the process of prepping the room through drivers, and a trowel plus tile adhesive to apply. Now, Sharpie and a tape measure are a must, and a scraper is also going to help you with your prep so you have a very smooth wall, and the sanding stone helps you sand down the tile after the tile cutter has done its work. An edging strip for putting things together, and of course, a dude.
Part of our prep to prepare the wall for putting tile is taking off the switch plates. Obviously there's power in the kitchen to plug everything in, so you're going to have several. Here we have 1, 2, 3 here. So what I've done is I've pulled the plugs out by loosening them. Obviously there's live power there. The best bet is to go to your breaker panel. A lot of times it's marked kitchen. If not, just put a light in here and I'll have Amanda go to the panel and just click them off one by one until the light goes out. And obviously that's the one, we'll just leave that one off.
And all of this reminds me of this specific episode from Friends.
This switch thing has been driving me crazy. So I turned it off and checked every outlet.
So it's going to go under, and then the plate, when it goes in, will be on top.
We just did all the prep work. Dad used an X-Acto knife and took out all the caulking around the kitchen. Not that it was bad, it's just we're gonna freshen it up anyways. We laid down garbage bags, and as well I taped them just kind of close right to the edge there. That's gonna protect obviously our countertop and everything like that. And then of course, he already mentioned taking off those plugs. So we're going to keep our workspace clean, and this actually will move pretty quickly. He's like, this is gonna drive me nuts.
It's out here.
I thought it would help.
The countertop, because there's a little bit of a bar area here, goes past the cabinets. But we're going to start the backsplash at the cabinet and run it down here. So I'll just quickly do a line and give us nice and straight.
So we're going to be using porcelain tiles, and that's what you see on the front of this. But on the side, it's the ceramic. So obviously you don't want that to be fully exposed. As well, what's so cool about these tiles is they actually already have the spacers in them. So we had to cap the sides. Dad already pre-cut this, and I showed you where he measured that as well. But basically what will happen is that tile is going to fit right in there, and then whatever mortar or glue that you're using, that's going to seal it shut, and then we're going to put in, I almost dropped that tile right on the ground. And then we're going to be putting in the grout just to seal that line. This is going to make it look more like a finished and professional job. Did I miss anything, dude?
You got it all. Perfect. The tiles on the wall, the pattern we're going to go with is alternating each row. So when we start the pattern, that means we have to start with a full tile, full tile, half tile. So we're going to have to cut a few tiles to get our half tile. The best way to do that is because of the 6x3. If we put the 2 6s on the end, put our spot where we're going to cut, that would give you the perfect center. You want to use a Sharpie because the pencil's not going to show up on the tile. The easiest way to do these, because they're just small tiles, you can actually do a large format tile, but it's a tile cutter. It just slides back and forth. It has a little sharp little wheel here that spins. Pretty simple. You just put your tile in and you would score the tile. And like we said before, you just push down and it just breaks it off. You can use the powder, you mix up mortar and so forth to put it on the wall. That's how you normally do floor tiles, right? Mm-hmm. But this mastic, it's an adhesive, it's almost like a glue. It comes pre-mixed, it's in the container, you don't have to shake it. It's just bring it right out, put it right on the wall, and away you go.
And that's the reason why we ended up getting this $5 trowel as opposed to one that's actually really expensive. You don't want to use your favorite trowel on this.
Yeah, the mortar will clean up with water because this is a glue-based adhesive. You just have a little stone, you can get it at the tile store. The porcelain tiles, when you cut them, they're a little bit rough.
After we made the cuts, you use the sanding stone to smooth it out so that it fits really well into that edging strip. And then as you're using the tiles and putting the adhesive on the wall, you're going to want to do it in this pattern. The reason why you're kind of building that pyramid up that way is because it's going to help you keep on track and stay straight along the wall the entire time. I'd also suggest while you are applying the adhesive, apply as you go so it doesn't dry out. How do you think the project's going so far?
Excellent. It's coming along well.
We had a lot of fun with this part. Now this, what my dad is doing, is called back buttering. If there are any areas where maybe it's hard to get the tile adhesive or you go a little too far with it and get halted in your project, you may need to add a little bit if it dries out just a touch. This tile adhesive was really great to work with and it really stuck those tiles on there and you could shift them just slightly as you go.
Drats.
Once we hit our stride, we were going so quickly, but there will be areas like around plugs and against walls and angles that will certainly slow you down. Another point is when you're purchasing your tile, think about purchasing 5 to even 10% extra because you will break some tiles on the way. I'm sad to say they'll chip off and you'll need them. You never want to run short, and there is definitely a possibility, depending on where you're buying your tile, that you can return them.
All right, so we were just trying to figure out how to do this outside corner here because the tile porcelain is not painted. So if you put it like that, you'd be able to see the outside. So there's different ones you can use, but we saw you could use this. So we're gonna have porcelain against there, and then the other one here. Hard to explain, but when it's done, you'll be able to see what it will look like.
Even if the sky is falling down.
My dad just had an awesome realization. So this little nook there, we showed you how to make that corner piece because we were thinking about the corners that went in but not the one that came out. So that was solved. But those little walls are 9 inches and the full tile is 6 and obviously the half one is 3. So it's perfect, no waste. Tip my dad very smart on, and it's so simple, why not do it and not mess up. He drew a line using the level so that we have that really clean tile line right above the oven. Now, because we're using a tile adhesive, if you were actually using a mortar's a little bit more wet. So when you put a tile on the wall, it could actually start to slide down the wall. So earlier, he actually brought in a piece of wood that we could have kind of just drilled in the wall, just makeshift. And then we would put the tiles all lining that so they wouldn't fall. But we don't think we're gonna have to do that now after working with this tile adhesive. It's pretty sticky and things will remain pretty stuck. So we'll do a test and this will just ensure that we get that clean line above the stove. Officially on day 2. So these
Yeah.
projects take a little bit longer sometimes because you've got to wait for things to dry. I'm excited for day 2 because we're grouting today.
That's right.
So originally I had chose a grout called Avalanche, but now we're going with Frost. The guy at the tile store, shout out Brian, he ended up choosing Frost like right off the beginning, and I had to end up go and do the exchange. So if you are one of those people who just has no idea what to choose, just ask the tile person.
Trust the expert.
Trust the expert. And one thing I actually suggest is put the tiles up and then decide your grout color later, unless you're like 100.
If you're really unsure, what you can do is you have extra tiles. I've seen people just make a small board with the tiles and just put a couple of different grout
that's fair.
samples. So. But unfortunately, you gotta buy a very big bag, so that could be a little costly.
I think I would do that if I was doing like my
Huge
whole
area.
house.
Yeah,
Or I wasn't doing it and like a contractor was doing it.
yeah.
You're the contractor.
I'm the contractor, so. The consistency is not real water you want. You want to add your water slow and just keep mixing. I'd say it still sticks to here. It's almost like peanut butter. It'll come off. Just play with it. If it's too thick, you can add a little bit of water. We're going to use unsanded, so it's non-sanded grout. It's sanded and non-sanded. Mostly sanded gives it more strength. It's for a floor. But for a backsplash, it's easier to get into the little grooves, so to spread a little better. So you don't want sand. Unsanded grout, mixing cup, a grouting trowel. It's you can feel it. It'll hold the grout. It's like a rubber to put it on and push it into the seam.
And this isn't going to like mess up the tile.
No, it's nice
That's
and soft.
different than a sander.
Yeah, that's not sander. That's just a grout float, I guess we call it. A little bucket to mix it in, a little stirring stick. Grout is really hard in your hands. It really dries them out. If you're not doing a lot of it, you can get away with it, but it's nice to have a little pair of gloves on it. And when you put the grout on, you're going for a light. Don't freak if it's dark.
Yeah.
Because it goes on dark, it'll do a darker than what it is, and it will, when it dries nice and light.
As you're working with the grout as well, you're going to be able to tell whether you need to add more water, and so Dad was just thinking this may actually be a little bit too dry, so adds a little bit of water. Thankfully, because we have extra grout mix and of course extra water, you can really just find that sweet spot.
So when we're putting the grout on, why we're doing it is we're really trying to push it into all the little seams between the tile. So the tile's about a 1/4 inch deep, so you can just keep, you don't have to get it all the way in, but you want to get it kind of deep and it'll just stay there. The grout also, it's like a concrete, it dries very hard, and it also builds strength into your wall too, and it builds strength between the tiles.
During the cleaning process, there are 3 steps. This is actually a grout sponge. So it's got these holes, there's great texture to it. It just is gonna help you with your grout removal. I'm sure that you could use something else if you don't have this readily available, but picking this up is a pretty cheap option as well. So when you're doing that first wipe down, this is the gentle one.
Right the hand to make a circle. Wax off.
This is doing that general cleanup, getting it off the front facing of the tiles, just nice and soft, just getting that out of the way. The second process, once that has dried more, is you'll see some of the lines in the grout, there will be some thickness variability. Your ideal grouting is going to be nice and smooth and very evenly done. So that one, as soon as you start to get a more drying and perfect some of those grout lines to make sure that they're smooth. This one, you can go a little bit harder on it. And the third one, you will note that after you get your more at the dry stage, you can take an old t-shirt, put some water on it, and wipe down the tile, and that's gonna remove the powder that's on top of your tile. You will especially notice this if you have the tile that we picked up. We picked up a glossy porcelain, so right now some of them look a little bit more matte because they are covered in powder, and that microfiber is just going to help remove all of that.
Just a little tip, we have a couple buckets of water, clean water, so you can keep cleaning your sponge as you're taking grout off. Just a real tip, this water, make sure you take it outside and dump it in some rocks or in a garden somewhere. Don't dump it down your sink. It is like a concrete base, and the last thing you want with this beautiful backsplash is to have to call a plumber later to fix your pipes. All right, now that the grouting's all done, the grout will actually suck in water. So just at the base of the countertop, we want to put a clear silicone we're going to put down there, and that'll just seal it. So it's just caulking the bottom right across, and we're done. So when we do the caulking down with between the tile and the counter, it's tough for sometimes people to get a really nice seam that looks really professional. The easy way to do it is to put a piece of tape just off about a 1/4 inch, run this all along the top, and then we'll put another piece 1/4 inch along the tile. And then you'll see when I put the caulking on, the last thing I do is I dab my finger and I just run my finger all the way down, and we take off the tape, and it looks professional.
Overall for this project, so I'm obviously the novice here. You guys would have seen my dad doing a lot of these steps, but that's what these videos are all about. They're for us to learn a couple of the things along the way. And we were talking just while we were wiping it down. I was saying, I've learned so much from this, and then as well that board and batten video that we did, and I'll link that one above as well if you want to check out another well done project. So I would say you definitely need a dude for this project to help you out, and a dude could be anyone. It could be or a dudette. I was gonna say that. Yeah, a dude could be anyone. It could be a brother, a sister, an aunt, an uncle, a friend, a mom, a dad. Like, it could be anyone. So yeah, dude's doing stuff. And I know Scott's gonna be thrilled.
Okay.
I will do that.
It's crazy. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is ours.
Another job, well done. We'll work on it.
Even if the sky is falling down.